Here we go. It is another month. It's Halloween in October and all of the jazzy goodness that you expect. I'm on a time limit because my memory card will run out. All my children will arrive home from school before I finish. So let's get cracking. And first up is fantasy. And we've got Rescale Miniatures and they've got some really nice like Viking sculpts and big old like Viking giants and beasts and everything to go with it. I'm almost getting a Monster Hunter meets lots of Vikings vibe from this whole thing. So first up, you've got this like Hydra dragony thing with like all these big old heads. It's big like strong thing, and then this more like, I don't know how to describe it, but another dragon. And then why is that not closing? There we go. These big like frost giants. They look incredible. They're really nice. And then like all these like Viking knights with the big old horns. Just some really lovely sculpts. And you've got these Vikings riding on these weird horny mounts. Sounds terrible when I say it like that. And then this big like ogre-y monster thing. There's just a lot going on for this set and definitely worthwhile having a look at. Next up, we've got Vevictus and I've got Lady Knight and the Buff Pumpkin. The Buff Pumpkin is what swayed this one on here. So again, a lovely set of like Lady Knights. And I talked about this, I think, on last month's one, where it's just nice to have some ladies in miniature form that aren't just over the top, like sexualized. So these look great. Again, modular or pre-built, depending on what you like. And then there's a big old Buff Pumpkin. And someone out there is going to want a Buff Pumpkin this Halloween. And if you do, it is where to look. Next up, Highlands Miniatures, and I think this might be one of their best sets yet. It's an absolutely gorgeous set of undead, and these really straddle the line between Old World and Age of Sigmar. They've got a really they could fit into basically both sets. They've got a lot of that like modern sculpt look about them, but also that old hammer sculpt as well. I love these. These are fantastic, especially those zombies. I think zombies are sometimes hard to get right because they're either just too generic or they're just over the top. And these, yeah, I really like them. So absolute hats off to Highlands Miniatures for this one. Next up is One Sin for Seven Kingdoms. And these, again, are great. Last month, I really liked the look of these. They've got a lot of like Grand Cafe type stuff going off. And also now they've got some wild people. I feel like they are just on a bit of a roll at the moment for rolling out new sculpts and sets. So first off, you've got like this Grand Cafe like captain, and then these wild people with like, I guess like druids and stuff. It almost seems kind of cruel because they're like going around with like bear skin hat and like cape and everything on, whilst walking around with the bears and like the wolves. It's like, hey, you're my pal. Just grow a little bit bigger so I can skin you and wear you. Anyway, next up, some Grand Cafe on like horses. And then you've got some like wood elves as well. Some more like Grand Cafes, like command units. And then this awesome dwarf on this big like rocky dragon, which looks incredible. And then like on foot as well, holding this like flaming axe. Just absolutely beautiful sculpts. I really like those. Very tempted to get them and start printing and doing like a Grand Cafe army. But do not need another army. Anyway, that's it for fantasy. I didn't have a huge amount for fantasy. But moving across onto sci-fi, we're kicking off with Arc Villain Games, who've got like these mechs, jump pack warriors, like assault units. And my favourite things on these are these, I don't know what they're actually called in like Games Workshop style or anything, but big two-legged walkie things. That's what I'm going to call them from now on, walkie things. And they look great. These would go just great with like either an Imperial Guard army, an AdMech army, something like that. Just a lot of different poses. You've got these, I'm talking about the big storm shields, not the Inquisitors, the other ones like the Imperial Navy and brain no longer working. But a lovely set of sculpts here. I really like them. You can have a lot of fun with these just to add a bit of spice to multiple different types of army. Anyway, going across onto Daka Daka. And they're kicking it off with some October styling with a big old stomper. Really big stomper. Lovely looking sculpt. So if you are after like a big Titanic type unit for your orcs, then this is definitely worthwhile having a look at. Then moving across, you've also got a lot of like Eldar and Dark Eldar style of sculpts. Words fail me again. Modular again, so you can change out all the weapons and stuff like that, which is always nice to have, so you can make them your own. And then you've got like your Dark Eldar variant. No, they're called Drakari, but that sucks. Dark Eldar. It's just some really lovely sculpts throughout this whole thing. So, like, yeah, just have a look at the pictures. I don't think you can go too far wrong with those. So if you're looking for some kind of like proxies or some additional units to go with your armies, then it's worthwhile having a peek at. Next up, a Wargame exclusives. We've got Necrons, Servitors, Eldar, and Morty as well. Again, a really lovely roundup of sculpts from them each month. They've consistently been putting out some great additional sculpts to go with like your armies or your kill team, just to add a little bit of flavour and spice. Now, first up, we've got like these just basically Necron units. Look really, really, really lovely. And then Servitors, which, again, if you've got an AdMech army, even if you just want to throw them in with Space Marines or Imperial Guard, just to add a bit more, probably not use them in game that much, but like a narrative. Just, I like that. If you've been watching the channel for a while, I'm getting too far into like trying to build out the narrative of my Space Marines, but it's just nice to have. And then you've got some run over grots, which is always nice to add a little bit of flavour to your scenery and your terrain and all of that. And then there's this like Eldar jumping on a tactical rock. You've got to have tactical rocks apparently. And then this Crypt Keeper Necron, which looks lovely. And then there's Morty, like before turning into a Demon Prince. A really lovely sculpt. I like that. That's, it's beautiful. I don't need any more temptation for different types of armies. So we'll move on quickly. Next up, Red Makers. The thing that really stood out to me on this one is the Lady Commissar they've got. It's a lovely, lovely sculpt. So they've not announced everything yet for the month, at point of recording at least, but you've got like your generic infantry. You've got some like sci-fi dwarves as well. But this Lady Commissar, just in a quite neutral pose, big, boxy bolt gun, love it. Chainswords there, and just the standard Commissar uniform. It's a lovely looking sculpt. I really, really like it. Might get this and try to paint it up to like a really high standard. Me and high standard don't normally go hand in hand, but I'll give it a shot. Everyone's got to try it at some point. And then last on the sci-fi list is Wild Mesh, and they're no longer doing penis head horses. They have moved on. They have left that behind in the past. So we're moving away from Slaanesh, and they are going into Khorne. I quite like these. It's this corny demon prince or just demon generic thing. At first I was torn, like, do they go in sci-fi or do they go in fantasy? But there's kind of like some sci-fi elements to this, and like there's all this like tubing that's coming out of it, and it looks like they've got like the chain axes and stuff like that. It's a really nice sculpt, and you can sort of change it out as well. So there's different heads and bits that you can use on there. So again, you can make it a bit more unique for yourself, like modular hands. So you can change, is he holding axes? Is he holding bodies? You can change the legs. You can change the arm poses. Just, pretty decent amount of modularity to that. And then they've also got some, once we get past all the modular stuff shown off, these hounds. I can't remember what they're called, but, hellhounds, basically. And I like these. These look miles better than the alternatives that are out there from big name companies. They're just nice hellhounds. They look the part. They're like liony with horns, and weird things going on with like some of the eyes on them, where like almost becoming spidery. Like they've got two sets of eyes on either side of them, and I really like it. It's just a nice little touch to add a bit more creepiness to them. So nice set. I'll be interested to see what comes out next from them, because they really went hard on the Slaaneshi stuff. I should have said that, because penis head horses, it's weird, but quickly move on. Anyway, D&D. And D&D kind of, I don't know, did all like the D&D sculptors go mad this month because it's like Halloween and thought everyone's going to be telling some Halloween stories. Really, really good stuff from the D&D section this month. It's probably my busiest D&D section that I've had for a long time. So first off, let's kick it off with Mammoth Factory Games. And they've got a really nice set here. So this is Hell's Wake. And there's some like impy, demony type creatures. You've got this Courtier of Greed, which is very like Nurgly in aesthetic. And then you've got all like your normal units and stuff, and they look really, really nice. There's some just lovely looking armor panels and stuff like that here, and just really nice poses as well. And then of course you've got the big standout piece, which is very much a Balrog from Lord of the Rings. And everything on this sculpt looks incredible. Apart from, in my opinion at least, the sword looks absolute bollocks. Everything else on this sculpt looks amazing. And the sword is a big chopper from Final Fantasy with this scream mask just throughout it. I don't like it. Apart from that, it looks amazing. But if I was going to print it, I would either chop the sword off and just have him with that flaming whip, or chop the sword off and try and get an alternative one on there. Fantastic set apart from that. Definitely piqued my interest. Next up, we've got Fleshcraft Studio, and for this I've put Plague Faces. So this is a whole set of just really interesting looking sculpts. I must admit, it's second glance. The thing that worries me about this one is how well will they survive once they're printed, because there's a lot of like spindly hoof feet, but they're all planted 2 feet on the ground, which is a bonus when it comes to 3D printing. When they're on 1 foot, that 1 foot will eventually snap. But a lovely looking set. There's like a lot of undead creatures, and the things these undead creatures are riding on are really weird. And then there's like an undead flaming crocodile type creature, and then all these like plague masks. It's just, I don't know, it looks really unique, so I like it. It definitely makes me kind of want to play that campaign. Next up, Cast and Play. And they've got some lovely looking lizards. I love Cast and Play, and I will admit they're an absolute acquired taste. If you are into that more like cartoony, whimsical aesthetic, they're fantastic for that. If you're not, then absolutely you're not going to enjoy this. But lovely. And the thing that I am continually impressed with is they seem to be taking like an animal each month and doing multiple sculpts of it, but somehow bringing loads of personality to that animal over and over again. Like last month, I think it was turtles, and each one of those turtles was incredible. And this month is lizards, and like they're basically lizards. Like, how many things can you do with a lizard? But this looks great. Like your assassins, your rogues, and then you've got your mercenaries, your crossbow lizards. Yet somehow they all have their own character and personality. I think it's just, I don't know, I'm probably gushing over such silly things. It's fun, it's whimsical, and I'm really impressed that they managed to take one little idea of quite a similar sculpt and make it so characterful for each and every one of them. Anyway, take a breath, because I've been talking a lot. Moving on, the printing goes ever on. I've just put undead theme for this one. And again, basically a lot of undead stuff. Reminds me of Curse of Strahd. And I suppose that's probably what they're sort of going for here. You've got obviously the master vampire sort of like front and center there, and it's a really nice sculpt. I love the way his like cloak is billowing and turning into all of these bats that are billowing from that. It's an absolutely gorgeous sculpt. And then you've got the lady vampires here as well. You've then got like the gypsy set, sort of like your NPCs, and this gypsy carriage. There's a bit of terrain. There's this big old creepy skeletal right type thing with these long, horrible fingers that look horrendous. And this massive bat. There's just a lot of stuff going here. And again, just really, really characterful. And already just from that image, tells a bit of a story and captures a lot of intrigue. And next up is auto-corrected to Sardine Publishing, but it's Sordain Publishing, and so Witcher's Coven. And this one has quite a lot there, again, for your D&D campaign, so there's a lot of different characters and stuff like that that you can play with and print. But the thing that I really like is this witch. And she comes in multiple poses. So it's a half-orc witch, and it's just a lovely, lovely sculpt. You've got her like walking with all these skulls coming out of her staff and flames coming up from the base. You've got her on a broomstick, because of course a witch isn't complete without a broomstick. You've also got a half-orc witch with the cauldron, and it's a gorgeous sculpt. Yeah, that's all I can say about that. There's a whole bunch of other stuff as well. So you've got some mushrooms, gargoyles, this witch's familiar cat that looks just like a bit creepy. Lovely set, and again, captures my intrigue. Anyway, moving on to terrain, and we kick it off with Cast and Play, and they've got this Wizard's Essential set. So it's mostly a whole bunch of like scatter terrain that you'll be able to use, which is always nice. But they seem to have loads of like walls and stuff that you can join up, which is quite fun. So again, if you're telling a bit of a story, you want something to go with like your adventure that you're going for, so it's great for D&D. But if also as well you were doing something like fantasy, and you just wanted something that was like a big stack of potions and bookshelves and signs and everything else, there's a lot of stuff here that you could print just to have like scattered terrain, which I always think is lots of fun. I feel like my terrain historically has always just been about here's a building, here's a wall, here's a road. There's no character to it. So lately I've been really focusing on actually, if I'm going to do something, can I get some, it sounds stupid, benches, street lights, just stuff to make it a real lived in place rather than just, yeah, that's some terrain. Anyway, next up is Forbidden Prince, and they've got some Chaos Ruins. So if you want some chaotic ruins, they're here. And you know what? They're nothing to write home about. They're not like, oh, wow, this is mind-blowing. But they're very similar to all the normal Gothic Imperial ruins that we get like all the time. There's always one of those pretty much every single month. But basically those, but chaotic instead. So if you wanted to have your, I don't know, your Space Marines or your Sigmarines or whatever invading the realms of chaos, there you go. You've got something now. Anyway, next up, Sali Factory. And auto-corrected to Oak Mountains. But no, they're Orc Mountains instead. So if you are doing something for October at the moment, then I think pretty much everyone tends to. Yeah, you've got some big old Orc face mountains. And they're just really nice. Again, fun, silly. Just, yeah, great fun. And then you've got these, like, almost like Asian, Japanese-inspired buildings and terrain as well, which, again, look really nice. They go great with something like my Grand Cafe stuff that I'm not going to, get hooked into doing. I promise. Anyway, moving across from Sali Factory and onto Kickstarters. And the first one is one that I shouldn't have seen because last month I backed, so two that I spoke about on Kickstarter were the Village City one, I can't remember what it's called, but basically realistic city, loads of road tiles. And I talked about I really wanted some road tiles, and I've got them, and I've started printing them. And also the cliffs, I can't remember, the Buffs of Black Rock or something like that. Basically some cliffs, and I've got those, and I need to start printing them soon. But this is a modular battle game table. This is what I've wanted for a long time. And basically, it lets you print off a frame, and you can choose the frame size and everything. And it's loads of like grid tile slots. And you can print some legs, you can print some table walls and everything for it. But then once you've done that, you can then print off the tiles to go into the grid. So there's like some hills, some like cliffy bits, some flat bits, some rocky bits, all the bits you'd expect. And it comes with like card holders, can holders, so you can basically print off your table frame how you like it and then print off all the tiles and then start taking all the tiles out and swapping them around, so you've got all that modular bit. This is what I've wanted. I did hex ones ages ago and they were great, but they weren't quite, I couldn't like drop them into a table. And now I'm doing these road pieces as well, but now there's this, and there's like really big hills or small hills or tiny hills. And I am tempted to back it. I don't know if I should, because I have now started on the project of printing off all these roads and everything else. So that means I have two lots of table going at the same time. But this is fantastic. Well done. I like it. And you know what I really like about it is it doesn't try to be anything too complicated. Sometimes you see these systems where it's like, here's 2,000 pieces. Go wild. And it's like, oh, where do you even start with that? This is basically like, hey, you know what? Choose your table. Choose the bits you want on it, and it's mostly just flat stuff with a couple of hills and a couple of rocky bits. And I'm sure they'll expand it as they go on if it's popular, but I like that simplicity sometimes, just makes it a bit easier. Anyway, before I get too far into that, next up, medieval set. Just a basic, like, great for Halloween medieval set. So it's like a crypt. You've got this old tower. You've got some crypty pieces like tombs and everything else. It's made like mausoleum. And then I guess like a grave house, grave person whoever's looking after the graveyard will probably live in there as well. There's lots of scatter terrain and stuff like that for it as well. All the pieces are removable, so again, you've got that play space inside. Great if you're doing something for D&D and you need something like this, and also great again for like your fantasy battles and stuff. And then very last on the list, we've got a multi-level spaceship, and this looks really good. And for anyone who's been watching Alien Earth recently, I guess this comes out at a decent timing. Probably won't get into a discussion about whether or not people enjoyed it, because some people loved it, some people hated it. I won't tell you which side I fall on. But this is a lovely, lovely looking set. So basically, you've got all your spaceships. You print off a big spaceship, but it's all like playable interior, and it's multi-level as well. So normally on a lot of the spaceship ones, you know, I think we went through a stage a while ago where there was like every month there's a new spaceship one, but they're all like Space Hulk type ones. Do you know what I mean? So it was basically a battle map, and you went down your corridors and had all the doors. And this has that, but it also has multi-level as well. So you could be on one level, and then it's basically you print it all off and it stacks. So then you could go down to level 2, level 3, and then move around it. It looks really fun. It looks like a lot of work though, and this is the thing that always puts me off these, is you've got like the doors and stuff that open, all the hatches that open, and that's always great, but oh my, it would take a lot of work, but it is tempting. So that is it for this month. Let me know, what are you going to be printing? What are you going to be painting? There's a lot of stuff on there. What have I missed? What are you going to be doing? And hopefully you found something on there that you like the look of. In the meantime, happy printing, happy painting, happy hobbying and all of that jazz. At the point of this video coming out, I will be doing a half marathon. So, yeah, that's going to be great fun. If you do fancy on donating to that and my madness, then I'll have a link in there as well, just in case, but no pressure. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Ta-ra!